from West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
Support for the Legislature Today is provided by the following.
The West Virginia Higher Education Policy Commission, working with students and families to improve college access and student success for a better West Virginia. West Virginia University, online at wvu.edu.
Good evening, I'm Suzanne Higgins. Tonight, a special broadcast of the Legislature Today. It's EMS Day at the Capitol, a day when the work of emergency medical services providers is recognized. And that's why West Virginia Public Broadcasting is honored to sponsor a free public screening of the Oscar-nominated documentary Heroin, tonight at the University of Charleston. It's a film that follows three women battling the opioid crisis in Huntington, West Virginia, one of them an EMS firefighter. We'll be joined by the filmmaker and two of these women after this clip from the film, Heroin.
Danger 1 responding.
I'm not really sure what a plateau is going to look like. You know, I see this as a countrywide problem that has the potential to bankrupt the country. You know, we conservatively estimated that Cabell County, and we're talking 96,000 people, spent probably about $100 million in health care costs associated with IV drug use in 2015. That's one small county in one small state. I can't even fathom what it's going to look like when it plateaus. But I know it will be welcomed.
Yes, ma'am. This was an overdose. We're clear returning.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Kelly has a business card. Is that the coolest thing ever? Kelly J. Stickler, recovery coach. But I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Naja, you want to come on up? So, today's a special day.
5 months clean.
5 months clean? Yay! When was the last time you had 5 months clean time?
3 years ago.
3 years ago. I'm really, really proud of you. You're doing wonderful things in the program.
I'm trying.
Joining us now are Elaine McMillan Shelton, the producer and director of the film Heroin, and Huntington Fire Chief Jan Rader, and family court and former longtime drug court judge Patricia Keller. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you.
It was a big day for you, Elaine, here at the legislature, a citation for the film, for your work. There was a private screening for lawmakers at the governor's mansion. And we'll talk about that and the reaction that lawmakers have had, the questions that they asked you. First, I'd like to get a little bit of background and perspective from each of you women here today. Elaine, first, you are from Logan County, West Virginia. Talk to us about the impetus for the film and how you wanted to portray the situation in Huntington and the women that you follow.
Yeah, I grew up in Logan, and my parents live in Elkview now. I went to South Charleston High School, and it just got to the point as a young person from West Virginia, looking at mugshots and obituaries that were too familiar from people I went to middle school and high school with. And this has been a problem for a long time, and I think it's one I've been avoiding covering as a journalist, as a documentary filmmaker, because I just didn't want to document despair alone. It was just too much I didn't know how to help. My husband and I wanted to make a film that could help more than hurt, and in that way find people that are actually trying to make change and trying to provide hope, and found these three incredible women through a reporting trip to Huntington, and we were really drawn to their stories.
It's an incredible story following the EMS workers. Again, it's EMS Day here, and Chief Rader, it's a real eye-opener for us. You talk about in the film how the work of the EMS worker the first responders has tragically changed in just the last couple years. Again, on this day where we honor the service of EMS workers, can you talk about that commitment and that work?
Well, the first responders in West Virginia are very dedicated to their work, and we just hired 7 new firefighters, and they're going to be moved into fire stations on Saturday. And the reality of that is these 7 young men are in their early 20s, and they're probably going to see 40 young dead bodies in their first year. And they know that, and they still want to do it. And that didn't happen when I came on. It was years before I saw the magnitude of death that they see. So we have to find ways to make sure that we keep them mentally strong and to deal with mental issues that they are probably going to have and carry home to their families.
Well, and that's what the film brings out. There's a firefighter, an EMS worker there, and he's saying that this has made him calloused, it's made him very angry about everything, even off the job, and he's drinking now. And it's amazing because, I mean, we call them the frontline warriors, and they truly are. We just delivered a film talking to veterans, and they talked about combat and how it desensitizes you to see body after body, 30 to 40 bodies a year is what you're saying. We apologize for that. They're doing a caucus, and I think they're going back in. We're live at the Capitol.
You'll have that.
But yes, and so, I mean, your film doesn't say PTSD, but obviously that's part of the job now for an EMS
It
worker.
is, and leaders in the community are stepping up to the plate and helping us figure out how we are going to take care of our first responders, just like we should always take care of our soldiers as well.
Let me bring Judge Keller into the conversation. You are at a different spot in the front line of this battle, this opioid battle, the crisis. As a drug court judge, you are the last stop before jail, or sometimes the first stop on the way out of jail. And we saw some very genuine excitement and enthusiasm when someone succeeds. But later in the broadcast, in the film, you see that you're a no-nonsense judge as well. Talk about the effectiveness from your perspective of drug court, because it's not available everywhere, and the challenges with dealing with addicts. You insist on honesty, and yet we know as an addict, they're often not honest with themselves.
That's true, and that's one of the biggest things we have to get through in drug court. And it's so exciting for us when we see that light bulb start to go off after they've been in the program for a few weeks, sometimes maybe a few months, and they realize that it's time to stop fighting us and what we're doing. We kind of have an idea how to move forward with this and kind of follow the program, and then things just start to roll. But drug court is a phenomenally successful program. They're relatively new really around the country. They started in 1999 in Dade County, Florida. And we've had drug courts in West Virginia now for a while. As you mentioned, not everywhere in the state, but most places. We have probably about 46 counties that are covered by a drug court in some fashion. In Cabell County, we have by far the largest drug court. And part of that is because we were able to expand beyond what the Supreme Court could provide us in funding by also going for some federal funding to match and expand and grow the program.
Can you tell us about the whole philosophy? There's a lot of supervision and it's treatment. It's actually treatment.
It is not your typical court. Your typical court's adversarial. You have two sides butting heads. This is not. This is a treatment court. So we take the court system and we meet treatment, and together we try to move forward. But what gets people in the door is they've committed a felony crime. You can't come to drug court if you've not committed a crime. Our particular drug court is what we call post-adjudicatory, which means they've pled guilty to that felony. So they know that if they're not successful in drug court, they're going directly to prison. There's not a trial, there's not a second chance. If they're not successful in drug court, the next stop is prison. That's our real stick to kind of get them motivated, get them started. But once we get them in drug court, we have a treatment team. You didn't get to see that in the film. There's just so much that goes on with drug court. But treatment team is made up of people that help move these folks forward. We meet every week before drug court. It's the prosecutor, it's the defense attorney, it's the judge, it's the probation officer, the therapist, community people, like Jan Rader, like Nisha Freeman that we saw in the film, other folks that work in the community that deal with our population. And we look at their progress every week and discuss how we need to move them forward, whether or not we need to give them incentives, give them sanctions. That's what you see in the actual drug court session. They come up and sit down at the table, and I talk to them about their week. I know before they sit down, because we've talked about it in the treatment team. And that's when we give them a chance to be honest with us. There's accountability, not just to me, but in front of all their peers. They're sitting there in the back watching.
We're going to return to one of your success stories in just a minute. Elaine, tell us about the third heroine that you follow in the film.
Nisha Freeman is the founder of the Brown Bags Ministry, which helps not only it helps children and women, and specifically we focus in the film on the women aspect. She goes out, she's a single mom and a real estate agent. She takes it upon herself to spend many hours of her week, particularly Wednesday nights, to go out to the streets of Huntington every Wednesday and reach women that are selling their bodies for drugs. I mean, they are addicts, they have substance use disorder, they are addicted, and they are working the streets as a way to support that habit. And she actually helps them. She does not treat them any differently than she would anyone else. She goes out there, she offers them food. In the film, you see her getting someone actually into a homeless shelter, a safe place to sleep that night. She helps people that are in prison find rehabs. She just goes above and beyond to reduce the stigma of these women and to help them seek access to health care.
Chief Rader, back to the EMS worker. The film follows you to a fire station where you're is it
naloxone?
Naloxone. You're distributing that, and you're encouraging these guys to go over the protocols and be willing to administer this.
Yes.
And the film captures one of them saying, do we have to? Is this the law? Is this something that I must do? And what you talk about later is you're fighting not only the drug battle, but you're trying to change attitudes. You're trying to address the desensitizing that is a real danger here. Can you speak to that?
Yes, when you see the same thing over and over again and you're enmeshed in this negative environment, an overdose is a very negative event. It's negative for the first responders, it's negative for the person who overdoses, friends or family who may be there. There's a lot of collateral damage there. So, you're taking people who have taken an oath to save life and property, and they're not seeing anything positive. So we got to find a way to retrain them so that they understand that they are making a difference. That young man in particular has given Narcan many times, but they ask a lot of questions, and that's their right. And I try to teach people not to judge, because nowhere in my oath did it say I have a right to judge. It says I'm supposed to protect life and property. But when we meet somebody, we don't know their backstory. Just like Mickey, I had no idea what his backstory was in the film. But again, each first responder has their own backstory. And that young man has things in his past that can cause him to question what he's doing as well. So I think that, a healthy conversation is a good thing, and that's happening right now.
In the opening scene of the film, the cameras find you arriving to a restaurant in Huntington where a young 23-year-old woman was found in the bathroom, and she had overdosed. And it's a very brief scene. You arrive, there's an exchange of information, and that's it. And you're moving off to something else, and the firefighter was there, and you can just see and there were no words exchanged between you two. You touched him. And, the film captures this philosophy of yours that we're not gonna save everyone. Be strong, move forward. We're gonna save the next one.
That's all we can do, and I'm stubborn, and I think that there's a way around every barrier, and there's a way out of this, and I'm a positive person by nature, and so is Judge Keller, but I try to lead by modeling. They see how I react, and I take that into consideration, and maybe they will learn from that.
We have another clip from Elaine's film, Heroine. This one follows Nisha Freeman, the third heroine that is profiled, and we'll take a look at that right now.
Would you like some food? We're the Brown Bag Ministry. Have we met before?
I don't think so.
Okay, we're the Brown Bag Ministry. We usually come out one night a week. Wednesday nights, and we just give you some food.
Well, thank you.
That's why I like to do this with Nisha, because I'll just tell you that I have been out here walking the streets before. If I ever get the stupid idea that I think I might want to use, because an addict's brain tells you just do it one time. Just one time, it won't hurt, nobody will know. But that never works. One time will lead me right back to walking the streets. So, and also, I've seen girls out here that I have used with and, been out here with, that they see me clean now and see that it's possible. So it helps me, and it hopefully can help somebody else. And I love Nisha.
Judge Keller, Naja is a graduate of drug court, one of your success stories. I'm sure that, sitting in judgment, having to make the decisions that you do with the people that come before your court, this must help keep you going.
Well, it absolutely does help me keep going. I have met some absolutely wonderful people who have been participants in the drug court program, and I'm not sure I could have done what some of these men and women have done. They've been very strong and very motivated, and when we see these people, it just brings tears to me. It really does. They're wonderful people, and they still have a lot to go, because there are a lot of obstacles they still have to face in the future. They have to still deal with employment issues and housing issues and all the other things that are just really hard when you've got a criminal past. But seeing them come through this program and then mentor others has been phenomenal.
Elaine, again, an Oscar-nominated film. Any thoughts, or did you know what you had when you finished it? Talk about the film process, and really the impact on you, what your hopes for the film are.
Yeah, well, I was just looking it up yesterday. We filmed from February 2016 to May 2017, on and off, only 38 days total. But my husband and I had no clue really who would see this film. It was funded by the Center for Investigative Reporting. After we had started filming, we were doing it for free for a while because we believed in these women and what they were doing. We just thought it was really unique, and especially being in West Virginia, you don't hear these stories led by women in these structures that seem so male-dominated oftentimes. So we thought it was very interesting, and but we didn't know. We had no clue. I think the response beyond the Academy Award, which is something I don't even think I've been able to wrap my head around yet, but beyond that, they've been they've been given a platform, and they've been in the trenches so long doing this, long before I came along, and now they're able to share their stories of hope and their stories of success and the ups and downs, the realities of what's happening on a new platform. And they were at the Obama Foundation Summit. Jan got to go to the State of the Union address. That is the dream for me. The dream of a filmmaker is that people resonate with the work you make. They see it. The first goal is they see it. We had Netflix, that helped a lot. People saw it, people were resonating, people were writing these women, and it's really beautiful to see.
And Chief Rader and Judge Keller, you were with Elaine over at the Governor's Mansion. There was a private screening for them. This program focuses on the activity and the decision making that happens here at the State House. What was your message to them? What was their reaction to the film? Have you gotten a chance to have conversations with policymakers about what what people in the trenches need to fight this war?
We have, and I think as Elaine said, what has been absolutely phenomenal about this film and this opportunity is the opportunity to start the discussion and keep the discussion going. There's nothing more powerful than watching the film with other people and then discussing it with them, and the opportunity to do that with legislative members and agency members has just been wonderful, because we do need things. For example, we work really hard with these folks, getting them through their recovery in drug court. And one of the big obstacles that they run into is their employment, because we all need jobs, and employment is a problem in places like West Virginia anyway. And when you've got that felony on your record, that makes it so much more difficult. And so we would really love to be able to see a process so that when people are successful in something like drug court and have maintained some clean time for a brief period of time, that they can make that felony go away so they don't have that on their record for employment. You know, we need to look at ways to help our folks get their driver's license. Many of these people, you know, when they're in the madness of addiction, they don't really care that they don't have the driver's license, and they're driving and they get tickets and they've got court costs and fines and fees, and soon it's thousands of dollars. And so until those things are paid off, they can't get a license again. They've gone through drug court, they've gone through some type of a recovery program, they're clean, they're sober, they're trying to work, wanting their license, but they can't get that. So if we could find a way to address some of those costs, whether it's accountability through community service to work that off, something to help these people with their employment, because to be successful, you know, we've got to get them clean, we've got to help them through the recovery process. It's a lifelong process, and they're going to need housing, and they're going to need employment, and, you know, they're going to need these things. And we set them up, we get them started in drug court. You don't graduate drug court unless you've got a job. You know, you're working, and if you're not working, then you're in school pursuing some type of an economic self-improvement program. But most of them are employed, and so we want to make sure that they can be successful.
And Chief Rader, from the perspective of emergency medical service providers, what is your message to the legislature? How can they better help them do their work?
Well, I think that Elaine has given them a view of what it's like on the front lines, and I think that it's very important that our lawmakers understand what we are up against on the front line, whether it's from a judge perspective or from a first responder's perspective or from an ER physician's perspective. Because saying something in theory, when you're on the front lines, you understand it won't work. And here's why. And those conversations have been opened because of this film. So,
Elaine, the documentary follows the EMS workers into an apartment where someone is revived, a young man is revived. And in the conversation with Chief Rader, he tells Chief Rader that he is going to enter treatment in Beckley on Friday. And that is the disturbing reality, that a lot of folks are waiting for treatment and overdosing, Absolutely. Many of them dying before they get into treatment. Your next film is about that treatment journey. Right. Can you take, we have a few minutes left. I'd like you're going to continue that West Virginia story right. on a treatment facility, an experience in West Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, a majority of the people I know that are, you know, at an overdose scene and revived, they don't want to be using anymore. Like, this is not fun for them anymore. This is a habit that has to be maintained or they're going to be dope sick. And that's certainly the case with the 4 men that we documented in our other film, Recovery Boys, which follows 4 guys that go through Jacob's Ladder program. It's a rehabilitation program that uses farming to help them reconnect with community and land. And, you know, for them, the isolation was what was killing them. You know, a lot of them come from generational addicted families. Some come from generational poverty, and escaping shaping those environments into this 6-month treatment center, we show how beautiful that community is, but how vicious the cycle can be once you leave. And we have to change our environments in West Virginia. We have to change how we accept people back into the community once they are clean and sober. I mean, it's a wonderful program, but the fact is when they leave the program, if they have nowhere to sleep, nowhere to get a job, I mean, we're setting people up for failure. And so the film is over the span of 18 months and follows these 4 men. So.
And the name, and when can we expect that?
It's called Recovery Boys. It's our male version of heroin. And it should be out sometime this year. So it's we're hoping that it will be out by June online. So, but we have a website, herointhefilm.com. We'll make sure to provide updates to the other film when that one comes out as well.
Well, thank you so much. We're just about out of time. We want to wish you the best of luck in a couple weeks at the Oscars, at the Academy Awards. But whatever happens there, you have delivered an incredibly powerful film. And just as we've been talking today, you have shared it with so many, and we've started some really important conversations. Thank you so much. Elaine Sheldon, filmmaker of Heroin, Huntington Chief, Fire Chief Jan Rader, and Family Court Judge Patricia Keller. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Spread the word.
And that does it for the Legislature Today. Again, there is a free public screening of the film Heroin tonight at 7 o'clock at the University of Charleston, sponsored by West Virginia Public Broadcasting. I'm Suzanne Higgins. Thanks for joining us this evening. Have a good night.